What's up, everybody? Got another Bible review for you guys. This is the R.L. Allan ESV NC1R. That is the new classic reader's edition in the crimson red Highland Goatskin. Now, this is a first edition from the Charfleet bindery. It's not going to be stellar. Just forewarning you. I don't want to give you any false impression. This edition has some binding quirks that I will point out, but I also believe that the latest editions from Charfleet have been improved. So don't let this deter you from checking out the latest editions produced by Charfleet, because I think they've made improvements and fixed a lot of these issues. So let's get into it. All right, so first we're going to spend a lot of time talking about this box. No, we're not. It's just a box. So here's the Bible. It's the English Standard Version. Really simplistic spine. I love the NCR layout. Spine is just really simple. You have the Allan at the bottom, Holy Bible at the top. You have your tooled ribs. Now this is a telltale of what's to come. You see these tooled ribs, how they have little spots where they wrinkle? That is because of some paper underlayment. At least that's my estimation. This Highland Goatskin cover is spectacular, feels amazing, looks amazing, but the underlayment, which is the material they place between the cover and the liner, I believe is paper, just regular old paper. And that causes wrinkles all over the place. And you'll see it all over whenever I open this thing up. So just kind of give you a forewarning. I think those things might have been fixed. I have not seen a newer edition of the Charfleet bound editions, but I believe I've heard better things of the of the most recent editions. So you do have this perimeter tooled line going around the exterior cover. When we open it up, it has this matching liner. Now, again, I will say that if I didn't know binding a little more than I do, I would say that this liner leather feels ultra super cheap, like incredibly cheap. But I know that's not why it feels that way. It's the underlayment. Again, you can see in this light how it reflects off that liner. You see these creases that run perpendicular to the, or at least paralleled with the length of the cover. It creates these ridges. That's because of that paper underlayment. And you have wrinkles that set in. So whenever this calfskin liner, and you can see it over here. You see how when it rolls, it wants to create certain weak spots and it creates little wrinkles. You'll have that. If you have a paperback book that you've used more than 10 times, you'll know where it starts creasing. And those paper covers, they start creasing. That's where they're going to crease. They're going to keep creasing in those areas. And it's no different than if you use paper underlayment for a binding. So this will never change, and it'll never ever change unless I use it so much that I actually induce new wrinkles throughout the binding, so it almost would smooth out the wrinkles I currently have, if that makes any sense whatsoever. All right, so a couple of these corners, another little thing, a couple of these corners seem to dip upward. So it's not a perfect radius on this corner. That shows a mismeasurement on cutting the exterior cover radiuses for the corners, so that when they're folding them over, you have more leather here, less leather here. So as it folds over, that curve actually dips up, and this curve specifically does that. I've never seen that with a Chant binding. Just have never seen it. Now, granted, I will do a comparison between the Charfleet and the Chant. However, please know that I'm not anti-Charfleet. I'm just saying this is a first edition Charfleet binding versus a seasoned company in Chant who had produced the NCR for Allan pretty much since they began producing them. So it's not going to be a super fair fight, but I will show you the differences. If you're in the market for an NCR, you need to know that there is a difference between a Chant binding and a Charfleet binding. So anyway, also here's another little quirk. This leather dips in at the tab. Now this could have been fixed. This is most likely is from an excess of either the tab was cut short on the back side, long on the front side. That can happen. Or this leather's stretched right here. So either way, it created this dip that is just, it just stares at you. It looks like it's almost cut, but it's not a cut. It's complete full leather. It just dips in right there. That is absolutely annoying if you leave it open too long. It just bugs me. The fold over is, there are places, as you can see right there, where I'll have to pull all this back myself and re-glue it. It's just going to be what it's going to be. I'm not sending it back to England. I'm going to fix it myself as best I can. But you can see right there where that is just not acceptable. This binding should have never left the bindery. It just shouldn't have. Another thing, which I hope they've changed, these end sheets, far too thin. This is not cardstock. This is paper. This is all this is. This is paper. When you use a thin paper instead of a cardstock, every little issue, every little inconsistency with gluing this tab down is amplified. You can see, feel every lump. You can see every little problem that you created. Every little tiny miscalculation with the cut, with the glue. It's just staring at you. When you use a thicker cardstock for the end sheet, it masks a lot of that stuff, and it supports the text block when it's open. So hopefully they change that as well. I'll probably leave it alone because I don't really want to tear it apart to put a new crimson cardstock end sheet in there. But I'm not saying I won't do that. I'll just be real with you, because this bugs me. I want to fix this. I want to put cardstock end sheets in and make it look more pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll have to be re-gluing this entire perimeter of this binding anyway, so I might as well just take it apart and have it the way I want it. Another thing, the block, although it's printed by Youngblood in the Netherlands, this block is rounded and sculpted by Charfleet. It's not as round, it's not flat, like you can see, it's not completely flat, but it's not rounded like we had become accustomed to from Chant. So hopefully that changes in the future too, that these bindings won't be so flat spined. They'll actually be rounded. The problem is when they're flat, and over time, you'll actually already see it right here. You can see a concavity starting to happen. The more I use this thing, it'll start to push outward. It'll start to buckle outward that way. So that's why having a concavity, having a rounded spine and having a concave face, it's going to actually prolong the shape of the binding for years, I'm sure. Because I have some that are years and years old that I use all the time that they still have a great curvature on the spine. All right, so we've had 10 minutes talking about this cover and stuff. Let's spend a couple minutes on the block. The block is awesome. I'll just go ahead and say that. When you open it up, you have end sheet, cardstock end sheets. You have your standard R.L. Allan title page or presentation page, and you have your legacy pages, which would be your family information. You have your first title page, second title page. On the back of the second title page, you have your publication information. This is the 2011 text. This is the 2015 printed by Youngblood in the Netherlands. The guy I got this from, that I traded for it because I didn't have a Charfleet, and I traded something real nice. And not that I'm upset, I can fix every problem on this thing. So, but he got this last year, 2018. I don't know why they were still producing these, and they might still be producing these and selling them in 2019 with 3 years after the text has been updated. The 2016 text, it's been out for 3 years, and we're still using the 2011 text for the NCR. Now, maybe it's just a complete reliance or complete submission by the purchasers to Allan, but people are still buying them. So they're going to keep making them. When you want the 2016 text, quit buying the 2011s, and they'll start seeing that needs to happen. So if they've bought and paid for so many 2011 text blocks to be printed, they're going to keep using them until they either use them up or people just keep buying them. Why change it if people keep buying it? So anyway, all right, so you have your contents pages, your preface, that's all preface. You have your explanation of the features, which is really good. You have, I would say that you should read this at least once for every layout, and it helps you maximize the usability of your Bible. Oh my goodness, it helps so much understanding how to use all these things, especially the textual footnotes. I recommend you read that. All right, so we get past the introductory materials and you get to the text. So the text is awesome. You have your book introduction, you have marginal room, you have 2-column, center column references. The dual columns are in 10-point font. It's just awesome. Scriptural notes on the bottom. Like I said, you have marginal room in the gutter and marginal room on the outside. You don't have much on the top and bottom, but you do have marginal room. And when you're holding it, not having the text completely creeping into the gutter makes it a lot easier to read from. Also, the verse numbers do stand out a little bit better. They are a little bolder, so it does, even though it's paragraph format, it's fairly easy to speak from or teach from. Fairly easy to find your verses if you're reading verse by verse. So it's kind of, and I think I used this phrase in another video. This is kind of a utility layout. It kind of does it all. Like it's not perfect for preaching, but it's good for preaching. It's not perfect for reading, but it's good for reading. It's not perfect for study, but it's really good for study. So there's a lot of benefits with having one of these utility layouts where it's a double column paragraph format with center column references or references wherever. That's a huge benefit. It's kind of a do-it-all Bible. Now, from this vantage point, you can see you have the white head and tail bands, which is standard from Allan Bibles. You also have the 3 navy Beresford ribbons. and it's just great. I mean, this block is awesome. It has a beautifully dark red art gilding. Now from this angle, it does look a little orange, but that's because of the red and gold mixing together. But when you have the text block open, that red is a nice dark red and actually matches fairly well the cover, the color red of the cover. So let's flip to the back. I want to show you it's a black letter text, and it is really nice. Again, it's my fave layout. So there's Luke. You can see it's a black letter text, and let's go back here to the also the ribbon lengths are like way different. Not a huge deal, just wanted to point that out. That's not a tough thing to keep straight either. Not sure what happened with these first editions, but something went way wrong. I'm just hoping that they have fixed it. All right, so when you get past Revelation, you get to this huge concordance, and the NCR concordance is one of my favorite. It's a large concordance, not exhaustive, but it is definitely very usable, very user-friendly concordance, and one of the larger concordances that the ESV editions have. Now you have your Bible maps on Bible paper, and it's such a simple thing, but it's just the simple things that make life good. The maps on Bible paper, I need to have that as a campaign slogan for, you know, something. It just maps on Bible paper. I just need that on a hashtag. Send that out, maps on Bible paper. That needs to be a new thing. Or ribbons are cheap, use good ribbons. That needs to be the next hashtags that catch in the Bible groups. So you get done with these awesome maps on Bible paper, hashtag maps on Bible paper, and you get to this huge section of really thin ruled college. It's smaller than college rule. It's got to be note paper that's pretty standard for the R.L. Allan editions. I love it. It seems like something so simple to add line paper to Bibles, but somehow it just doesn't happen that often. I don't know why. It's not like it's just super expensive line paper that you can only buy this line paper in England. No, this is just line paper. More line paper in Bibles. That might be another hashtag. Then you have your cardstock, and then you get to your end sheet, your end paper. I don't even want to call it an end sheet. It's an end paper. But you can see where using a thin end sheet, end paper, you can see all these little inconsistencies, all these little lumps, all these little humps. You can fill them. If they had used a thicker cardstock for the end sheet, you wouldn't be able to tell any of that. So, and also again, you have that paper underlayment is causing those creases in the binding. Got to re-glue the whole shebang. I'm gonna re-glue the whole thing. I'm gonna pull it all up, re-glue it. I might even try to re-pleat these corners to make them look a little bit better. I might even trim a little bit too, but I might even take apart the whole thing so I can put new end sheets in and fix these issues with the tabs also. So I might be redoing this whole thing, and just because I love the crimson Roll Tide. You see my Alabama stuff back there. I love the crimson, and I want it to be well represented. So this binding from Charfleet, at least the first edition, and you can see that on the back, the binding first edition by Charfleet book bindery, just did not meet expectations, especially if you expected anything remotely close to Chant. So anyway, but I'm going to fix a lot of it. It's going to be awesome for me for the years to come. So anyway, I might do a video of it once I've fixed those issues, but I am going to do a comparison video between this and a chant binding. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe and click the notifications bell. And don't forget, hashtag Maps on Bible Paper. Come on with it. And thanks for watching. God bless.